District at 3315 West Ogden, OGDEN, at approximately 12:53 this afternoon, p.m. A gentleman walks in who's now the offender, and he begins mumbling and ranting into the lobby as he walks in the lobby of the 10th District. Officers see that the offender has a plastic bag wrapped in his hand, and one of the officers immediately see what appears to be a barrel of a gun protruding from the wrapped plastic bag that the offender is holding in his hand. The offender shouts and rants anti-police sentiment, and then begins pointing the guns at the officers that are working the front desk in the lobby of the 10th District. As this occurs, officers draw their weapons and fire their weapons. The offender is wounded and being treated at an area hospital with non-life-threatening injuries from the wound of being shot by our officers. All our officers are okay. None were injured in any kind of way. And this is obviously very preliminary information, the caveat being subject to change as the full and complete investigation is conducted by COPA. And with that, we'll take a few questions. Oh, by the way, we have not identified this offender yet. We don't have identification. He is not being very cooperative and telling us who he is, so we have work to do in identifying him by fingerprinting and obviously going through the system to see if he's been in the criminal justice system to try and identify him. So now I'll take questions.
Hi, Superintendent Brown. Casey Cronus with Fox 32.
Yeah.
How many officers discharged their weapons?
We believe right now, again, preliminary, 3 of our officers, up to 3. So that has to be corroborated, obviously, from looking at their guns and corroborating that they did fire their weapons. But we believe right now 3 of the officers fired at this offender.
And how many times was the offender hit? And if you could tell us where he was shot?
We don't know, at least once, but we don't know how many other times he was hit, but at least once we believe in the shoulder.
Thank you.
Hey, Sue, how are you? I'm just wondering, obviously this is the second incident here in 2 weeks with Homan Square in here.
Right.
Are you guys thinking about taking additional measures for, the entranceways to police facilities now?
Obviously, yeah, really good question. We did discuss that after the Homan Square incident, but we're also obviously taking a look at all of our police facilities. And I will just highlight, a number of officers being shot at or shot, and this anti-police sentiment expressed by this particular offender has us all concerned about, access to our police facilities where our officers are. So again, but we have to balance that with being obviously open to the community to come in and make reports, to come in and engage with our officers. So it's a balance you have to strike, but there's some things we believe we can do to, maybe strengthen some of our security measures in our police facilities. So we're working on that.
I just want to clear one thing up that
Yeah.
I've been hearing. Was this individual attempting to turn in a gun at the desk there? Was that what he was aiming to do?
We don't believe his behavior suggests he was attempting to turn in a gun. Again, I'll describe what we believe happened here. He walks into the lobby with a gun wrapped with a plastic bag around it, holding it with what appears to be a barrel of a gun protruding. Officers give out orders to drop the gun. Instead, he points the gun at several officers in a motion, in a pointing motion, as if you have a gun. And that's when the officers respond with firing their weapons and striking him.
Eric Hong with ABC7. Was the gun loaded?
So right now, that's something that we have yet to determine. As you might imagine, we're processing a very active crime scene, so we hadn't gotten to the point of that. And then at some point, obviously, COPA will release whatever information they feel the need regarding that and likely other information.
The officers view the gun being in this bag as an attempt to conceal the weapon?
I don't know what the officers view, and I don't want to be witnesses for them. They'll have to write their statements and answer those questions about what they perceived, but we're not at that point yet.
And just one last question about, are you, in terms of the possibility of heightened security, are you looking at the potential for maybe an extra layer of security for people entering?
So you look at some other police facilities across the country, they have some type of ballistic, translucent glass or barrier. Others raise the height of those officers sitting at the front desk. So there's several things we could look at doing that I think will obviously strengthen the security measures at our police facilities.
Superintendent Chris Ty with CBS 2. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on what he said exactly? You said anti-police sentiment. Can you offer any quotes or any kind of, be a little more specific about that?
Yeah, cautionary tale on trying to quote people on an investigation that's not complete. I think we just have to corroborate everything that we believe happened, and then we'll come back to you once that is corroborated, rather than me going by the beginnings of an investigation's beliefs and maybe not being as accurate as I could be, instead of waiting. So there was some ranting, and there was some anti-police sentiment. That's as much as I feel confident in repeating.
So from start to finish, this happened in, do you have any sense, was it 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute?
Pretty short period of time. Pretty short period of time. I would say under a minute. But again, we have to corroborate all that.
And lastly, the effort to try and beef up security in these facilities, is there a committee, is there a commission, is there some, where do things stand as far as making that a reality? Where do things stand right now?
So again, the Homan Square incident happened days ago. This just happened. I think we're in the process of looking and identifying things we can do in the near term, and likely there might be some things we'll do in long term. But I think there are some near-term things we can do to add a layer of security for our officers working the front desk. Yes?
Hi, Lexi Suter, NBC5. We've talked a lot about more officers being shot at or shot.
Record levels, by the way. Record levels these last 2.5 years.
How are the officers doing? Can you talk about their emotional state? Obviously shaken up. It's, a Wednesday afternoon. They're just doing their job.
Yeah, so, and then there was civilian personnel working the front desk as well. And I was just sharing with the Commander Benecourt of the 10th District, asking how everyone was doing. He said, officers obviously, not used to it, but this is the job they face. They're always worried about their lives being at risk, protecting the people of Chicago, but civilians don't necessarily sign up for this. And so it really shook up from this, and we're asking for the city's prayers of everyone who is hearing about another officer being shot at, to offer your prayers for obviously the impacts of your life being threatened, not knowing what this person had in mind, but just sees what looks like, what appears to be a barrel of a gun protruding from a plastic bag and someone pointing it at you. You just can imagine the trauma that everyone is experiencing, and some, obviously really concerned about our civilian staff that was there. They don't sign up for this kind of thing happening. All right, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it.